And so it is for the kids, but it's also for the adults, because you will find yourself reinventing yourself along the way. I've been reinventing myself in the age of 70, so I'm 77 now. And you know, adults ask me, even adults ask me, did you always want to be an astronaut? I have to remind them, in the 1930s, when I was a kid, I didn't want to be an astronaut. There were none in the 1930s. I wanted to be a farm kid, because I was a farm kid and I wanted to run a farm. And so life happens. There's going to be brand new technologies that don't exist today. The way technology is growing, the way stuff is happening, you kids are going to do things that don't even exist today. So that's basically the message I got for tonight. So it's for children, and it's the personal journey of life. But I'm going to use spaceflight, that's my storyline to flesh out these messages. But I got a lot of messages. I got ways to live life. So I'm going to give some are pretty tough. I got some tough messages. I threw some in there. I can't believe I put them in, but you're tough. You'll be able to take it. Especially you Boy Scouts, you got to learn these. They're kind of tough, some of my lessons. But yeah, oh good, okay. Got a bunch of them here tonight. Well, right off the bat, man, first slide's up there. I'm going to give you Boy Scout lessons. So I want to take on a journey to repair Hubble Space Telescope. I was your lead mechanic to go fix that thing on the first visit to Hubble up there. But I started on Hubble back in 1975. So I designed the Hubble telescope. I engineered it to be serviceable and maintainable up there in space. They asked me, 75 story? Yes, sir. We put a big telescope in space, you look after that machine. You identify every possible failure, every possible problem it could get into, and you come up with the tools and the procedures to look after in a spacewalk up there. So I did that for 18 full years before it got launched, and 3 years after launch, I went to fix that thing. Now working up there, you're in a bulky spacesuit, you know, you're like a grill up there in this spacesuit. Also the spacesuit not got the same body you got. I have a fantastic shoulder joint, because my shoulder joint is made of ball and socket. It lets me go anywhere. That's good news is. Good news is you got a shoulder joint. Bad news is my spacesuit does not have a shoulder joint. So I can't use my shoulder the way I usually do. Spacesuit got its body, I got my body, you gotta put the two together, how are you gonna work? The other thing up there is you got a lot of mass. Get a little bit of physics here. You say 0G doesn't weigh anything, it doesn't weigh anything, but it got mass. So if you think you're gonna run around like a little squirrel out there being nimble and getting the job done, you're hauling 500 pounds with you. That's me, my spacesuit, and my life support system, and that's 500 pounds. And so you're hauling a lot of mass. And if you get going too fast and you haven't planned on how you're going to stop, you keep going. Bad form to keep going. Because the shuttle will have to chase after you and get a hold of you. Tool chase I'll talk about later. And of course in 0G, everything is in constant motion up there. So that's spaceflight. So I'd identify in the telescope every possible failure it could get into, and these are hundreds of failures, come up with the tools, and come up with the ways during a spacewalk, fix that thing. So, for me, the story of Hubble starts back on the farm. I was a farm kid, and I was immersed in the work on the farm by age 5, because the balers, we got really the first balers in the county, the square bales. Hay comes out like that. The balers in the 1930s couldn't tie the knots. So they couldn't tie the knots on the twine. Didn't tie the knots, the bale come by the back end, just collapsed. You don't have a bale. They were creative on the farm. They took my swing off the oak tree, and they swung me at the age of 5 where the machine's supposed to tie the knots. And if it didn't, I would grab one end of the twine, needle nose pliers, that way, and this way, square knot, and then tighten that knot up. Thank you, Greg. So I started, by the age of 9, I was driving every tractor, every truck on the place. On the highway too. So the state police had stopped a truck going down the road, they couldn't see ahead in the truck. The thing is going down the road by itself. They stop it and they look at me, and they say, young man, you couldn't possibly be 16. I said, I'm 12. All they can do is shake their head and walk away, because they know that's what you got. The only way the farm's going to survive is doing that kind of stuff. By 12 or 13 left remote fields, I could keep stuff going. So I learned mechanics when I was a child in India. You can take up the piano at 5 or 50, a huge difference. So when you take stuff up as a child, it's very, very special because it's part of your heart and it's part of your soul. I never finished school. The bus picked me up at the barn, left me off at the barn. And so I didn't do homework. I didn't have books. If I had a good instructor in school, then I'd have made it, but I didn't. So me and the books parted company. And I never finished school. I went off to Korea. I joined the Marines. And so the Marines, we got a Semper Fi back there somewhere right here. Okay. I went in 16, but I lied about my age. So they were not happy. The paperwork caught up on me. They said, not happy. You know, all this paperwork at the bottom, it says, all the above is true to the best of your knowledge and ability. They said, Private Musgrave, you knew you weren't 17. Come back a year later. So I went at 17. But they made me a mechanic, airplane mechanic. So I looked after all the instruments in the airplane, all the electricity. I looked after the big engine too. I learned that on the job. So often I went to Korea. I was in Korea for a while. Then on aircraft carrier. Then ended up in Kaneohe Bay, Hawaii. So I was a Marine Corps mechanic. But the reason that's important is because that's why they chose me to repair the Hubble Space Telescope. Because I'm a farm kid. See, I got it. I got it in my heart and my soul. I got the mechanics. I was born with it. And as a enlisted Marine, I started flying with the Marines, but I started out as a mechanic. So, but that's a very important part of the story, why they choose me to look after the machine and design it for serviceability and maintainability, because I'm a farm kid, born and raised with the machinery, and I'm a Marine mechanic. So, you think, you think a farm kid's not going anywhere. The farm kid's going to repair Hubble. That's where they're going. So you connect the dots to your past. And what I've had in machinery, I helped Walt Disney design ride systems for the theme parks. Why? Farm kid, right? I built mechanics all my life. Yeah, so another lifetime as a trauma surgeon fixing broken people. I left the Marines because I couldn't go anywhere without even a high school diploma. But I studied math at Syracuse, got into computers, operations research and that stuff. But I guess how's the brain work? I know how computer work, how's the brain work? Okay, pre-med, and off to medical school, Columbia in Manhattan. And I was heading for neurosurgery and neurophysiology, except all of a sudden space came up. So, oh my goodness, here we go again. Space program, National Academy of Science and NASA, want to fly people with formal education to propose experiments down here and conduct them up there. So, my goodness, space flight? Everything I've ever done in life, I can contribute to space. Okay, here we go again. Another fork in the road, space. Another playing field. You get in the playing field, you learn the rules of the game, and you be the best you can. So that's a little woman, but that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to use that storyline of me in space flight, me in aviation, and in particular, Hubble Space Telescope, repair, mission, design, that kind of stuff, to tell a story and extract the lessons for you. That's me 74 years ago. That's me exploring my world. But remember that picture now. Do not forget that picture there. It's native curiosity, awe, and wonder. The kids in the game. The kids in the game. And remember, kids, to get in the game and to stay in the game. Kids do that automatically. There's nothing there. There's some rock, there's some stone, there's some bug. The kid's in the game. You drop that kid anywhere on earth, that kid's in the game. The kid starts exploring. That is native curiosity, and we need to remember that. What's going on here? Comair 5191, commercial airline, Lexington, Kentucky. A few years back, they pulled up on the runway in cockpit voice recorder. One pilot said to the other, "That's weird. The runway lights are not on." Okay, are they in the game? That's weird. The runway lights are not on. But no, they're not in the game. They think, this airplane's got enough lights, it'll light the way, I'll be able to see the runway signal and I can take off. That's all there is to that. It's not only are we not curious, but we're in deviance. It's deviance. No runway lights, a deviant condition. And you should not accept deviance. You're the best in the business. You do what you do. Nope. And they took off and they were not on any runway. They didn't have the distance to take off and they killed 50 people. Okay, guys, get in the game and stay in the game. Get in the game and stay in the game. They were not in the game. Do that. It's a mindful, curious approach. They should have thought, that's funny, like they said to each other, where there's no runway lights. You get in the mic and you say, Lexington Tower, Covering 5191. Sir, I've noticed the runway lights are not on. The tower tells you, sir, you are not on a runway. Pull forward, turn right, and taxi to 22, okay? 50 lives saved, because you were curious. That's what it's about. So very important is my immersion in Mother Earth, my immersion in nature. I was in the forest at age 3, alone at night. I stretched Mom. I was always stretching Mom. She was very good, but I didn't need stretching Mom. But you know, we had 500 acres. So this little kid is further and further out. After a while, Mom doesn't know where this kid is. Doesn't matter. He's out exploring. He'll be home. Then I stretched it into the sunset, where it's okay. He's out there at sunset, and he'll wake up. Then I stretched into night, so it's okay at night. So how could you possibly do this? A pine forest looks after you. There's nothing in a pine forest. There's nothing about a pine forest that's going to hurt a little kid. The pine forest is going to look after a kid. Billboard raft went down the rivers. So, very important, not only machinery, but my love of Mother Earth and my love of nature, which I took to space from my appreciation of what I saw of Earth, you know, out there. But I think it was about age 7. It's minus 12 Fahrenheit, so Berkshire County, Western Massachusetts, is very cold. And I told Mom, I said, Mom, I'm going out. You know, Mom never asked me. She didn't tell me story, it's cold. She didn't say story, where are you going? And she didn't say story, why are you going? No. He says he's going out. I'm going to button him up. So she started throwing her clothes on, right? Layer after layer after layer. And then the final layer says mittens. Mittens are warmer than gloves. So what do you do? Mittens. It's a safety pin there, and a safety pin there, you know. I can't take the gloves off if I want to take them off. See? I can't lose my gloves. Mom, I'm buttoned up, out the door, story, out you go. So Mom was looking after me. But only in the last few years of thinking back there, Mom was smarter than I thought. I thought she just buttoned me up so I wouldn't get cold. You know what Mom was doing? Putting all the stuff on and pinning the mittens on. I can't pee. I can't pee. I can't get where I gotta get in the mittens. I can't do what I gotta do. So Mom is saying, I'll get the kid back. He's only gone for an hour and a half. I'm gonna get the kid back home, and I know how to get him back home. Okay, that was Mom. So, that was Mom. So, for all of you, but particularly the Boy Scouts, this fellow went and climbed Everest. Okay, he lost the right arm at the forearm. Not only the hand and the wrist, he lost the whole right, the forearm, and you see what's wrong with the left, he also lost his nose. Why? Because his gloves blew away. It was windy on Everest. You know, you expect it to be windy on Everest. The wind could blow some. The wind blew and it blew his gloves away. There were no safety pins, there were no tethers, there was nothing. Okay, we don't do that in life. Us Boy Scouts don't do that, and none of us do that. You get in that game and you get on some playing field. Life is a playing field. Climb Everest is a playing field. Waterfall's a playing field. What are the rules of the game, and what do I know? What do I have to know to get the job done and to do it right? You learn from other people. You talk to people. You get a checklist, you get procedures, you do it right. You're going to climb Everest, your gloves do not blow away. Never. They're double tethered, they're pinned to whatever it takes to do the job right. So that's it, folks. You get in the game and you do things right. And that's my little curiosity. That's a little story. So that's my little story. She's 3.5 in this picture. She's exploring the world. Well, she's 5 years old. 5 years old. If you saw me on a cell phone, I don't do the cell phone. If you saw me on a cell phone tonight, I'm just putting a little story to bed. You know, it's bedtime. I'll put a little story to bed. But that's very funny. Sometimes it's very funny because I'll be putting her to bed. You know, it's a school night for her. I wish she wasn't in school. I'm sorry, school. I wish I'd stayed home with me. You know, I like a little story at home with me. But anyway, she got to go to school. She's in kindergarten. But I always call her and to say good night. So I'm on a cell phone like I was tonight. On a cell phone and put a little story to bed. And so sometimes it might work. Some corporation or something. I'm sitting there and there's an open atrium, so people hear me talking on the phone. And I say, well, Story, did you have a good day today? Well, Story, they think I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to little Story. So, anyway, she's the light of my life. cannot get enough of that kid. You look at the timing, you say, how could you do this in your 70s? The timing's absolutely perfect. The timing is perfect. I adore this little kid. And she's a lot in my life. I just can't do enough as a kid. My little story, she's sort of being raised in a lab. She was bilingual at age 2. When she came home from the hospital, she could only watch DVDs of the television, the tube. The only computer tube she could watch was in Spanish. So whenever she's looking at television, she's learning Spanish. By 2, she spoke both languages, sometimes at the same time. So that was an opportunity I gave to Little Story. It was just, marvelous. Now she's starting to lose it because she's in English kindergarten, of course, now. So she's starting to lose it a little bit. And I let her watch other programs these days. Well, I know darn well later in life she'll be very facile with picking up different languages. Then, of course, she goes through life now. She had iPod at 4, iPhone at 4. But also, she's outdoors in nature and that kind of stuff, too. So, trying to do the best I can for her. Here's a little story. That's a little story. So we're launching a bunch of balloons, these balloonists. And so this is for you, Alan Amy. This my balloons. Where's Alan Amy? We're right here. Anyway, that's that story. Help me launch balloons. So that's my place, you see. What? So I'm a landscape architect. I developed land, and I planted 15,000 palm trees around that stuff. So this little story, she's in her tiger pajamas watching all this stuff going on. That's the same tractor I drove 66 years ago. So we got any red people? We got any red tractors in the crowd? I know we got green. Are you red? What model are you? M? Yeah, M too. So if I ask how many green, lots of hands will go up for a green. I know, I got 4 John Deeres too, but that's... That one I was driving 66 years ago. So life comes around. I run a landscaping company. I'm a landscape architect. And I take unimproved land and I get it ready for residence or commercial, that kind of stuff. But that's my farm wall. I just picked it up. Bought it on eBay, of course. eBay, yeah. Only paid $2,000 for a fully operational tractor. $2,000. I flushed the gas tank out, flushed the carburetor, new fuel, hit the start, it started. It's been running ever since. So that's what I do because I'm a farm kid. That's another piece of equipment. I haul 25,000 pounds off-road, mud bucking, all that kind of stuff. And I only paid $12,000 for it. And I never work on it. It's a 1968 turbocharged diesel. Nothing can go wrong with that kind of machine. So that's what I do these days. And that's one field out of 5 that I have. I've grown 15,000 trees. And I do that because I'm good at it. So it's another lesson that I've got for you. You got to follow your passion. You got to follow your heart. What are you good at? But do what you're good at. You got to follow your passion, but choose what you're good at. Do not work on your weaknesses. Notice I got to work on this I'm not so good at. Work on your strengths. That's what I do. I'm good at that, growing stuff. Here's palms going out in the field. I also move trees. When developers come in, I move trees out of harm's way. And I'll get them out of the way and plant them somewhere else. So that's my tree spade for moving stuff. So I'm in that kind of business there. This truck, it's also my security system. So when you turn into my driveway, that's what you face when you turn into the drive. If you're up to no good, you look at that and you say, no, there's a better house to go hit out. I'm not going to take this guy out. That's what you run into when you turn into my drive. So that's me in Korea, 80 Skyraider, Douglas 80 Skyraider. Yeah, it was winter, it was rather cold there. Of course, we had no runways or anything. But that's the first airplane I was a crew chief on, so that's what I was about. Instruments, electricity, I did the motor too. That's the motor I looked at now. That's a recent photograph. So I didn't have a stripped down motor I could show you from Korea. But that's a modern version of it, and it flew in this. A lot of you know the Super Constellation was a classical ship, but that same motor I was working on in the 80 Skyraider was in this a Super Constellation back then. So that's what we did in life. As I said at the junior high school today, someday I hope there is no war. Someday I hope we don't have to do this anymore. It's not a diplomatic option anymore. We should not be doing this stuff. There's a way to get along. So we got to get our own species in love with itself. We got to get over this. We can't keep doing this. It's not an option. And so I hope you kids, the most important thing you can do as you go through in life is to create a peaceful global community in which we're in balance with other creatures of the world and sustainable behavior with Mother Earth, the only lifeboat we're going to have. But that's the kind of stuff I did in Korea. And that's the way we really got accuracy out of dive bombing. So none of our stuff was guided. You were just flying in. You drop the bombs off and they go wherever you were flying along. Well, we did have rockets, but the rockets just dropped off the airplane, they ignited, and they went wherever they were pointing when you dropped them off. That wasn't very accurate. The most accurate thing we could do was to dive bomb absolutely vertical. If you're absolutely vertical on the top, just drop stuff off and it falls right under the target. But these pilots are so I had to remind them. They go chasing after the bombs. This is what the bombs hit. They follow the bombs right out and down. I had to remind them, we are not the bomb. You know, we can't keep going. We got to pull up out of here before something bad happens. So that's leaving Korea and going to aircraft carrier, and that was the WASP. And the WASP now straight deck. So this wasn't bound. It's another era, but it was. This was roughly 60 years ago that I was doing this in Korea. And then an aircraft carrier, but that's where I got my start, and that's what led me into the space program, doing this kind of stuff here. So that's me. I did my maintenance, the engine, electricity, and all that, but I coordinated. I got, after 3 months only with the Marines, I was coordinating other people's service on the airplane, and I was appointed a plane captain or crew chief. I was given 3 airplanes of my own that I'm responsible for. I am the one that certifies this airplane is ready to go to war. I signed off 300 items, strapped the pilot in and sent them off, and I did that at age 18. So I was doing that, certifying military airplanes as ready to go and fly. And I did this at the age of 18 here. And so this is one of my airplanes departing the carrier. I'm responsible for that airplane for that pilot, and I send them off. And I did that at age 18. I can't believe the pilots were looking at this kid, absolute kid. This kid responsible for his airplane, but that's what we did. That's what we did. And you notice in those days we didn't have the catapult. Cable wasn't there. You just turned the carrier into the wind as fast as you could. Hopefully you got your engine had enough speed. This is what it's about. That's what our world is about. And we did more of this than we wanted to. We're in the ocean. He's going to get out. This pilot's getting out, you see. Very ironically, my brother was on the same carrier 2 years later, flying out of Quonset Point in Rhode Island, near here. And he did not get enough out of the system. He went in the ocean, but the carrier ran over him. The carrier could not avoid him. The carrier hit his airplane. So that's the kind of life I've been leading. I went to Syracuse University to start out. That's where my mathematics degree was. Up there, I begged my way into school. You know, nobody would take me, but I went to Syracuse on admission day. And I was thinking somebody didn't show up, so there's an empty bed in the dorm. There's an empty chair in the classroom. I'll just fill in the empty seat. They can't believe I was thinking that way, but they took me. Kids got to be all right. So I went and joined the Marine Corps Active Reserve. They didn't have airplanes, so I drove tanks. So I was driving tanks during my college career with the Marines. Just tried to drive about anything. But after Syracuse, I got into computers, operations, research. And like I said, and I wondered how brain worked. So I got interested, curiosity, it's a new playing field. How does a brain work? So then I went to pre-med, and then off to Columbia, now medical school over in Manhattan, heading for neurosurgery and neurophysiology. But in the middle of my clinical training, space happened. Sputnik went up, National Academy of Science and NASA looking for scientists. So it's a new playing field, off into space, I went. I did continue to do this. I moved over into trauma surgery, and as people are very badly physically hurt, guns, knives, automobile accidents, firemen, all that kind of stuff. So I really did organize a fantastic emergency room to take care of people. I brought the discipline, the standardization of airspace into trauma medicine. But this is what it's like. This, whatever you do, it's not just medicine, and I'm not talking medicine, I'm not talking spaceflight tonight. But that's the kind of face, that's the kind of concentration, that's the focus and the passion. That's it. Whatever you do in life, that's the kind of face you want to have. And so off to NASA and off to spaceflight, which came along, and I'm age 29 when these things started to happen. Back in the postdoc fellowship in physiology, getting ready for spaceflight, and 31 I'm in the program. So space came very late into my life. At this point, I had taken up flying after I left the Marines and in the Marines. I was a very experienced pilot, but I had no jet time, so they sent me to the Air Force for a year to do Air Force flight training. which I did, was a spectacular year with the Air Force. So that's me way back then, spending a year. Now with the Air Force, I'm going to come back to NASA and I'm going to fly this airplane here. So it's a playing field. Me and this airplane, it's a journey. What am I going to do with the airplane? NASA, that's the airplane they use to keep us sharp and proficient in the aerospace world. Doing it right, being the best you can every second of the day. These are Boy Scouts. It's being the best you can all the time. Standardization, procedures, checklists, compliant with NASA, with the FAA, with the design of the ship, everything. But that's that gorgeous machine we got. It's called the Northrop T-38. That, of course, is Northrop Grumman Corporation, a huge heritage you have here in Bethpage and Long Island of naval aviation and space flight, the lunar landing module, that kind of stuff, right around the corner. But that's a Northrop Grumman T-38. It's 50 years old in this picture. 50 years old. It's a classic. It's a beauty. So simple, so easy to fly, so low cost, easy to maintain, all that kind of stuff. It's a classic. Been extended by the Air Force to 2025. It'll be 65 years old because they cannot improve upon it. So it's a lesson in design. I use it in design school. It's a lesson in simplicity and beauty. I was the maintenance test pilot on that airplane. A maintenance test pilot is one when the airplane's been under heavy maintenance. There's pieces all over the hangar floor. They put it back together and I fly it to see that it works. And that's the job I had. And of course, I got that job because I am a mechanic. And I not only flew that, but I worked on the airplane with him. So I learned this airplane from the mechanics. Bob Boney's got 45 years in this airplane. He was a mechanic for 45 years on the Northrop T-38 with NASA. So here's the place I really learned the airplane. It's a different approach. I read the pilot's manual. I learned from the pilots. I read the operating manual, but I learned from the hangar floor because I always had. So it's that kind of thinking. You see the progress now. You fix stuff on the farm, you learn the mechanics, you fix the Marines airplanes, you fix broken people, and your maintenance test pilot, you say, so who do they get to go fix Hubble? So it's a progress. I just keep adding on to the repertoire. Whatever you do in life, kids, do it well. The stuff you learn at Boy Scout, you're going to use for the rest of your life. It's not just now. It's teamwork. It's technology. It's being a member of the team. It's asking for help when you need it. That's what it's all about. Lessons of life. So we get ready, because things may happen. Full face protection, oxygen mask, flame-proof suit, survival gear, all that stuff. I'll just show you some beauty. When I saw this airplane, and I know I'm going to be in it for 30-some years, I said, I'm going to carry a camera. The airplane deserves it. So, what's the rule? Story. Every time you go fly, you take camera with you. Because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know the beautiful place they're going to take you. You don't know the unbelievable scenes you're going to get into. The airplane deserves it, and you have the privilege of being there. It's a huge privilege. So you see what I've caught there? I got a sunset going on, the optical characteristics of the glass, and circular polarizing filter probably on my camera led to this unbelievable rainbow on the canopies. That I call my biological picture. I knew what I was after in this case, but I didn't know it would take beautiful cumulus clouds and overhead sun. I usually like low sun. That's what I call my biological picture. It's almost like a whale tail or something. Now this is what NASA wants you to do. They want you to push hard. They want you to push yourself hard, push the airplane hard. The harder you push, the more you learn. The more the challenge is. Within the limitations, doing it right. That's Mother Earth you see right there. So we're going straight up here. You've seen some stars in the background. You see some stars, you're pretty darn high up. But that's a lesson. So you know what's got to happen, right? If you go straight up long enough, what's next? It's just like the real estate market, right? That's the real estate market you got right there. The investment community, they need this lesson too. It's inevitable, huh? You keep pushing that bubble, where are you going? That's where you're going. Right straight down. And so we got to do some kind of pull-out. You've got to pay attention now. You got to pay attention. You always pay attention, but you got to be in the game like the kid on slide one. You've got to be in the game. You think you're a mile and a half or two above Earth and you're safe. You're not. You are 10 miles a minute straight at Mother Earth. You've got to pay attention. That's over the Gulf of Mexico, south of Ellington, Houston. So doing aerobatics, just staying sharp, being the best you can. But two of my colleagues did not pay attention to details and they hit the ocean. They got themselves in a position they were irrecoverable. So the Thunderbirds flew the same airplane. The whole Thunderbird went in and hit the Earth because the leader coming over the top did not check the altitude, how much altitude they had. Did they have enough room to turn the corner? They did not. Even the Thunderbirds that are that good, you cannot make a single mistake in this world, not one. It's beating the game. Vigilance, awareness, alertness. This is gorgeous, so see, this is beautiful. That's what it's all about. Aerospace is beautiful, you know. That's a huge privilege. A privilege I've had to do this. All of you could have done this, sir. But you do understand, I know the privilege, the blessing that I've had, that I got chosen, I got allowed to do this. So you're on a playing field with opportunities and challenges to live up to. That's all we really ask for in life, is that we're given challenges. And we can live up to them. We're on a playing field, living up to other people's expectations. That's what my life is. It's living up to the world's expectations. That's a privilege, an opportunity. A huge privilege. I got to do this kind of stuff. That's over the mountains of New Mexico. This is the Grand Canyon of the Colorado River. At this point, I know I'm going to do a book. So yeah, I kept photographing this airplane. I photographed it for 45 years. I had, how many pictures? 10,000? Something like that. But I ended up doing a book. The NASA Northman T-38 ended up doing a book. I had to do something with all this stuff, so in celebration of its 50th anniversary, I ended up doing a book on these pictures. So at this point here, I'm kind of cheating because I know I'm doing a book. So I had the mechanics arrange the beautiful T-38s there, see? And there's a shuttle. See the shuttle? It's going to go off right there. So the shuttle's going to go off at night. Look what happens. It lights up my beauties. People look at my book and say, "Story, you're cheating." Well, yeah, but look at the picture. Sure, I'm cheating. The mechanics will do anything for me. I'm one of them. Now, so look at this. Here's a daytime picture. The same thing. I got my T-38, said it's a daytime picture. But that plume is going to become outrageous. That plume is going to do stuff that physics just doesn't understand. It's going to wrap itself around in a three-dimensional sculpture. Can you believe that a plume would do that? Would wrap itself up? And of course, what is happening? I have a sunset going on. I have my T-38s leaving, and I have that overhead. And so people look at me and say, "Story, you don't deserve that. You really don't deserve that photograph." Yeah, I do. I was there and I had a camera. That's all. I was there and I had a camera. Click it off, right? Because I said, when I saw an airplane, I'm going to carry a camera every time. Because you don't know what's going to happen. And that's life, kids. Jump in. Jump into life. Be the best you can all the time. You know, what can I get from all this? And so look what I got. I know. Some of you are saying, "Man, Story's good with Photoshop." No. Go on the internet, images, STS-117 launch. There's lots of people got this picture, but not with a T-38, of course, because I was with the T-38s. But the plume does it. I'm going to show you some more plumes, too. That's very slow film, ASA-64. There's no one in this room anymore that knows what ASA-64 is, right? There's nobody here that knows that, right? You don't know what ISOs or ASAs. No, that's history, man. We're all digital now. So am I. But this is back then. I've shot the airplane for 45 years. So the first 30 years were film. And that's the most powerful rainbow I've ever seen. I landed at Ellington Field, Houston, Texas. There's no one on the line because it's on a Sunday. I backed up as far as I could. I'm up against the hangar here, backed up, but I can't get the whole picture in. So to see the stitch, that line there is a stitch. So I shot the left and shot the right and stitched, and NASA overlaid the transparency so I get one picture. But of course my book is digital. You don't see that. Most powerful rainbow I ever saw in my life. Horizon to horizon surrounding my beauties. Say, "Story, you don't deserve that either." I was there and I had a camera. Give me that much credit, okay? I got the picture. And I have the transparencies, so that's a real photograph. Here's the book. We looked at Cessna citations as a way to augment the T-38, so we'd fly maybe partly citations and partly that. So I got checked out, I got my type rating in the Cessna citation. The magic of the citation was, the first ride I took in the airplane was my final check ride. You don't train in an airplane anymore. It's 100% simulator. I wasn't used to that world. The examiner says, "Story, this is a citation." It's a beautiful airplane. He knew I'd never seen one, and I'm taking my check ride. My second ride was single pilot waiver from FAA where I could fly alone as a solo pilot. So you don't train in airplanes anymore. You train in simulators only. And so the world has changed. That's what technology, has done. I'm at an air show up in Wisconsin, and they're, John Deere's used total citation in now. But they're trying to tease me. They're teasing me real bad out there. So they say, Story, you see this? Yeah, I see it. Well, you can choose only one. You either choose to fly the Citation or drive the John Deere. You can't do both. So you know what I chose? The John Deere, of course. Apollo Saturn V is an absolutely gorgeous vehicle. Spectacular thing, how simple, how beautiful, elegant it is. We had the requirements to go to the moon. Kennedy said go 9 years, we did it. Okay, that's it. 9 years. You look what we can do in 9 years? When Von Braun was told going to the moon, in 3 years he launched the Saturn. In only 3 years. Going to the moon, he launched the Saturn in 3 years. That's that simple. If we had turned that man loose, we'd have been up there, we'd have been in space 7 years before Sputnik. People don't understand that part of the history. We held up Von Braun. When he came to sky, we held him up. We did not let him do a space flight. When he finally turned the man loose, it only took him 2 months to get there. So when he came to this country at 45, we said, sir, we want you to put a satellite up. He'd been easy there 5 years, so we'd been up 7 years before Sputnik. But we didn't understand the romance and the history and the exploration purposes of spaceflight. So we thought it was for competition, or weaponry, or something else. But fantastic, and I've been able to share in this technology. That's your moon rocket right there. And this, of course, is a launch control center over here. But that happens to be Apollo 11, going to the moon. It was the right machine for the job. And this is the Lunar Excursion Module, that we call it, the LEM. And here it's in Earth orbit. So we took it and we flew the LEM around the Earth before we took it to the moon. And this is Apollo 9. And of course, that machine came out of Bethpage. And Bethpage, I'll tell you, was darn good. This was an incredible machine. It was done right, even looking back 45 years. Now, Grumman did that machine really absolutely right. And here's that same machine now in lunar orbit. And of course, it did its job. It was an absolutely gorgeous machine. And it took us to the moon. And Grumman was working on Altair, which was going to be our lunar lander in the Constellation program. But it did result in this. We moved on to the shuttle, a much more complicated system. Very fragile, very difficult to operate. Massively expensive because it was so difficult to operate. But very, very complex. As complex as it was, it did work for us. We got so we could do it. And it matured us as a spaceflyer nation. So I do consider it a triumph, even though it didn't turn out the way we expected it to, much more expensive than we had planned, more difficult to operate, more dangerous. But if you look at where we were in 1973 and where we are in 2012, it matured us. Technology, science, operations in space, it did its thing. And so I do consider, as difficult as it was, that it was a triumph. Only it could have put the space station together to carry these modules up and do what it did to service as a work platform, to work as a work platform to carry up the Hubble Space Telescope into space and to serve as a work platform. You see us working out there in space. So, on to Hubble, checking my clock. On to Hubble. I told you about the story in 1975. I said, look after that machine, Story. You got it. Identify every possible failure that could, and then come up with the tools and procedures during a spacewalk to look after that thing. So when I first started on it, I had no drawings. We didn't have a contract yet. We didn't have congressional approval. I came up with the hardest kind of concepts, which, like I said, do it with a spacewalk. Here's Jeff taking a picture of himself in my visor. So that's his visor and his arms. You see, shooting the sun, you get those kind of reflections. But that's the way I got to work. I got to work looking like this. And it's not my body, and everything's moving around, and it's 500 pounds you're looking at. That's why I got to work. How would you like to change out a motherboard and a computer looking like that? I said, why would you do that, Story? I had to do that. The Hubble computer lost 50% of its memory when I went up there to fix it. So I had to design Hubble, I had to design tools and procedures to get very delicate operations done looking like this, and margin of performance to guarantee we can get the job done. You're putting a motherboard in, you screw up one pin, kiss it off. Just leave Hubble instead. It can't fly, it can't do anything. So if you mess up with a computer system, just walk off and leave it. It's dead. And come up with a plan how you're going to fix it later on. That's the kind of criticality we're working on. But I was able to design the procedures, design the Hubble and the tools, such that we could get every job done. I got every job done on my own mission, and the 4 missions that came after me, the follow-on missions, they were able to get the job done too. And the reason the job was gotten done is how simple it was to work on Hubble. It was designed to be done simply. Here's artist concepts and that big camera, and here's computer graphics on the big camera, how to install that. What you do is you go up here and you unbolt the old one, you store the old one down here, you get the new one out of the trunk, put it in, then put the old one in the trunk, just like changing a tire in your car. There's the Hubble down at Kennedy Space Center. When I got the real Hubble totally up and going, I took every single component out of that telescope and it reinstalled every component. So I had script writers behind me, I had photographers behind me, I had the engineers, the Hubble engineers, and the component engineers and everyone to buy off and to build those procedures, to do every possible kind of work on Hubble out there in the spacewalk. So on the real Hubble, I played on the real Hubble. Scared the heck out of everyone. He ain't going to put it back the way it was. Well, they're going to look after me, but I did. We got to learn. I was told I was responsible for coming up with this stuff. And so here's the Hubble on a canister. It's on the way to the launch pad in that canister there. But I'll show you this picture because of the bobcat there. I like the bobcat. That bobcat said, what are you guys doing now? You know, what are you guys doing now? Something new every week going on. And so, but that's the mission that carried it up there in March 1990. But I like this picture. I was not on this one that carried it up, but I was in mission control. So I did have 25 missions in mission control, but I love being in mission control. I love taking care of the people flying up. So I was a communicator. I like those so much of my own, but I like this because there's Mother Earth. See, on the aperture door there, you got the clouds, you got the sky, Mother Earth there. Within 2 or 3 months of getting up there, we found out we put the wrong mirror in the telescope. It was the world's most perfect mirror, but it was the wrong one. So it didn't work. It did not focus the images where the instruments picked that light off, so it didn't work. Now, we don't do that. We don't do what they did. We simply don't do that. They could not calibrate a laser instrument. They're calibrating against a very precise measured bar, and they couldn't calibrate it. They could not make this laser behave, so they shimmed it with washers to make it behave. But it is that distance they shim with washers, the difference in the curvature of the glass. We don't do that. Quality was not involved. What are the procedures? Have you called for help? Did you bring the manufacturer the instrument in? Have you escalated the problem and told people upstairs what's going on? No. We got our own little fix. And there are no procedures. It's not written. We just do it. Okay, we don't work that way. We simply don't work that way. We get in a playing field with the best in the business. That's where we operate. So we're not talking space flight. We're not talking Hubble. Whatever playing field you're on, folks, be the best you can. That's what it's all about. So I got a mission. Along the way, with my hundreds of items of what could go wrong with Hubble, I was not cynical enough to have a line item that says NASA put wrong mirror in telescope. I don't have one of those. I should have, because now I got to get ready. I got 13 major systems that are broke. More advanced computer graphics to tell a story. So computer graphics you can change instantly. So you tell a story about what your spacewalk is going to be. You're like a ballerina opening a night to ballet. That's what you are, and it's who you are. You're going to go out there and move. Perfection in the moment. I used to train with Dorothy Hamill. I could have trained with other figure skaters, but she and I got to know each other. So I trained with Dorothy Hamill on how you do spacewalks. Story. Even asked that story. Spacewalk, figure skating. Hey, man, they're different worlds. They're not different worlds. Dorothy knows what she's good at. She knows what she's not good at. She knows what her body's good for. She knows where her passion lies. She plays with a routine. She keeps playing until she finally converges on what she's going to do at the next Olympics. And then she repetitively practices that until she can pull it off. What do I do in a spacewalk? I do the same thing. So they tell me what's broken, they tell me the spare parts. And I work every finger and every toe, just like a ballerina, just like a figure skater. I go do what I got to do. So I use the perfection that athletes have got down. And athletes have been doing this for centuries. They got that down, the choreography of the dance. Ballerinas got it down, athletes got it down, but I saw the relationship between me doing spacewalks and athleticism. So it's another lesson I got for you. You have perfected yourself in some discipline over here, and you now move over here, and you think that doesn't belong over here. It does. I guarantee you, whatever you bring to some level of perfection, you will be able to apply in your new occupation. That's the way it is. You cross it over and then real magic happens. So that world happens. You see how I've done it in my own personal life. More advanced computer graphics tell a story about how we're going to work. And that's a model. That's a model of the whole system, only about 6 feet. But getting physical helps. Getting a prototype helps because you get to see. It's not just a drawing. You get to see. And you get to play with mock-ups and that stuff. Now, whatever you do in life, folks, that's the kind of faces you want. Focus and concentration in the moment, the now. No distractions. When you got a job like this, so who led the effort to fix Hubble? I was just a spacewalker. Who led the effort? We don't know. There was nobody. You know, there's no program manager. There's no director. There's nobody. Who's leading this effort? We don't know. But we don't need a leader. You only identify the jobs that have to get done, and you put talented, passionate people in those jobs and let it happen. Get out of the way. Just let it happen. And that's the mission spirit. When you got the mission spirit, stuff happens. And when something needs doing, someone reaches in there and does it. That's all. They just do it. So that's what I call an organism. It's just an organism that functions. But whatever you do in life, those are the faces. Those are the faces. I would like to have a huge warehouse in which I could put a mock-up of the shuttle, the telescope back, and turn gravity off. I like to turn gravity off and go practice, but I can't. So I have to use the water environment, get in a spacesuit, and hang lead on the suit so I don't sink to the bottom of the pool, don't rise to the top, and also don't rotate, so that I can go and pretend I'm a zero-G. It's not zero-G, it's water. But I can pretend. I have the three-dimensional freedom to move around in the water tank. But it's not perfect. If I go upside down in space, nothing. I'm floating in my suit. In space, my suit floats, I float in my suit. Not true in water. If I go upside down like this, I'm carrying 170 pounds in my collarbone. It's not nice and I can't function. So you see the difference. The water is not zero-G. The water is simply neutral buoyancy. So it's not good for that. But the real reason I show this slide is the empowerment of the divers around. Before I get in the water, I look at each diver. If you see a better way for me to do my work, you show me how you do it. You wake me up. You show me with your hands how you would do it. You empower people around to talk. You ask them for help. You're always asking for help. It's help all the time. When I was a surgeon, I'm getting ready to operate. I say, anyone in this room that's uncomfortable, what's going on, you tell me uncomfortable. Comfort's a great word. Are you comfortable with what we're doing? Because it's not legalistic, it's not technical. It's what the people feel in their gut about what's going on. I always empower people. I ask them. I want the best solution, not mine. I don't have an ego. I do. I got a huge ego. You know what my ego is? My ego is wrapped around being a professional. My ego is wrapped around my being a true professional, you know, and not focused on my own insufficiencies. That's what my ego is about. Being a professional, being the best I can. So I'm operating sometime, operating room. I have an operating room nurse that's been on a job for 30 years. She's seen what I'm doing 100 times by 100 different surgeons. Do you know the operating room nurse knows a heck of a lot more about surgery than I do? She does, by definition. But I need to understand that. I got someone in the room that's smarter than I am and has seen more and knows more about what's going on than I do. That's life, folks. You ask for help. You look at the people that can help. And it's that kind of humility. That's how you become the best in the business. Ma'am? Yes, story. Do you like what's going on? I love it, story. Keep going. Okay, another situation. Ma'am, how are we doing? I'm sorry, story. I can't tell you why, but I don't like it. I really don't like where we're going. Okay, I'm going to find out what you didn't like. Maybe she can't tell you. But when you got someone like that that's not happy, you've got to find out why. Because their intuition. When you say comfort, you're talking intuition. Empowering people around you. The water's good for this. Big power tool. Zzz. You pull a trigger on that thing, and if you have not tied your feet down, you spin on the wrench. You see, you spin over here like a propeller. They've tried that a couple times. You learn to tie yourself down. I trained in the Smithsonian Museum because I'm worried about the metrology. I'm worried about the mock-ups. I'm not sure the mock-ups they're giving me to practice on now the real Hubble's out in space. So this engineering qualification unit in the Smithsonian I knew was exact measurements. So I took my instruments and I installed it on that to see if they would fit, to see how it would work. I'll go anywhere. They're trying to work those details. So here we are. We're all trained up. That was just a brief look at development of the mission. We're going to fly now. So there's a vehicle assembly building over there. We stacked the Apollos up and we stacked the shuttles. That's the Hubble crew you're looking at. Of course, I'm in this airplane over here taking the pictures, always taking the pictures, doing the flying too. So sometimes our buddies, I see both hands are on the camera, there's no hand on the stick. They wonder who's doing the flying. It worked out. A wonderful bird's eye view here. Bird's eye view of the launch pad A and B. This is what it's all about. Space flight is beautiful, you know, aviation is beautiful. A huge privilege. I got to do this. You get permission to fly by your shuttle, fly by the launch pad in nice formation, T-38s. This is what it's about. That's just wonderful. Now, some of you taking pictures, of course, you'll wash out the screen, but I'll give this PowerPoint to anyone that wants it. So I'll leave the PowerPoint here at the school so you can get this PowerPoint, take it home with you, or if you brought a PC or whatever, I'll give you the flash drive tonight. So your vehicle, the shuttle, left California a few months earlier, flew across the desert. This is just gorgeous. This is absolutely beautiful stuff. And so it wasn't NASA that came up with the idea of transporting the shuttle on a 747. There was a model airplane person. He's not an aerospace engineer. He does model airplanes. But he got the idea of, you know, how you might transport a shuttle cross country. So he built him a 6-foot 747, scaled model shuttle, put the shuttle on top, and he's flying this model airplane around the sky. And NASA got the idea. You know, NASA saw this person doing this and said, I wonder, can we do this in the real world? So that's how the idea came. So creativity, folks, I got another example about creativity. You look everywhere for the answer, and you get other people working on the problem. Okay, NASA, aerospace engineering, and all PhD and all this stuff, but get the model airplane people to come in. And so you're an oceanographer and you got some big ocean project, well, maybe get a surfer in. It's called meta discourse. It's bring people in, and they may have a different idea. They may have a different understanding of the problem than the usual straight line people who are educated only in that area. So, and there's landing on Landon Kennedy Space Center. But it's just spectacular. I've had a part of this world, you know. I understand every minute of the day, the privilege I've had of living in this world. And so the complicated process of transfer and to stack that thing, to lift that up, I cannot believe we do this kind of thing, but we do it right? There's only one way, and that's the right way. So I just can't believe we do this kind of thing. On the other hand, I can't believe I'm going to ride it either, you know, when it get done. She's on the crawler on the way out the door. This is just unbelievable. This is Discovery's last flight. So they put some great lights on it for the press, you know, and the media down there. This is unbelievable. This is just a gorgeous celebration of Discovery's last flight. Man, it's enough to make your hair stand on end if you got any. So here's a sunrise. This is just glorious stuff. On the way out there with a sunrise over the Atlantic Ocean. It's just beautiful stuff. People doing the right thing. Just people being the best they can. Oh, dear me. So that's a sunrise out on the pad. And, wow. I was visiting my ship the night before. I go out the night before. The xenon lights are kind of reaching for the heavens, you know. And I'll tell you what, you get down there 3 days before launch. That's when you arrive at Kennedy to go fly. And man, you're not doing any homework. You put the no homework, man. It's a resort. Okay, you just have fun. You forget what you're gonna do. You just have fun for 3 days. You go swim in the ocean, you know. I've been at this for 18 years. I take 3 days off and just relax. And so I was visiting my ship the night before, then I go swim. I love Mother Earth, so I gotta go swim in the ocean. No matter, even December and January, no matter how cold, I go swim in the ocean the day before, just because I like to. Stay in contact with Mother Earth. But I'm out there at night, I visit this, then I go to the ocean, go swimming at night. And I check with Mission Control, gave them a ring where Hubble was, because Hubble got to be near the plane, because you're going to go get it tomorrow. But I saw Hubble going by, you know, they told me, it's just streaking across the sky up there like a shooting star. And I look at it, you know, And I said, Story, do you understand you're going to be there? That's you tomorrow night. It's doing that business. Oh boy. So, now when you wake up launch day, this is not what you want to see. This is not the kind of weather you're looking for. It's going to be a really bad no-go. There's only one thing much worse than that, and that's this. So, yeah. I do have some collection of pictures, you know, about 15,000 of them. I don't mean to scare you, but this is not a launch day. Try this. This is a nice launch day, so we're going to go launch. We're going to go launch today. So you've seen the van we get in? The van we get in to go drive for launch pad is down there. I was checking my birds. So I'm going to finish in 20 minutes for you babysitters, what you got to do. But I visit my birds. Yeah, so, symbolic for America, symbolic for flight, and they've been there for decades. And I always put my binoculars on them and way down to see that they're okay. They're creatures. Now, I'm going to the space technology, but I always stay immersed in the Earth. I go around the corner, head for the launch pad, and right near the launch pad is some other friends that I got. Yeah, so that's a little launch pad. So I checked that they're okay. So if you work at the Kennedy Space Center down there, when you're heading for the parking lot in the evening, you look around, because if they had a bad day, they expect you to improve upon their day, so they'll be out waiting there. It's quite a wildlife refuge. So kids, all you kids, remember this one, okay? Troy on the left and me, we went on this journey for 30 years. Every time we came together, he looked after my suit, my gloves, my helmet, he looked after everything. He put me in Apollo, put me in the shuttles, he launched me in the shuttles, into water tanks, back, whatever. He and I went on that journey for 30 years. We're doing the best we can, and every time we came together, we tried to do a little better. That is true professionalism. It is incredible love for each other, respect for each other, and just understanding that we are on a journey together. And we're going to do the best we can. So that's it. And away we go. I like that one there because the humans are reaching for the heavens is nothing but nature. So there's nothing in the background. It reminds me of the film 2001. I said, here you only see the pure technology and the shock waves. That one kind of gives you a push. Man, we just pushing for the heavens. And the still photographs, a digital camera. That's a single frame, of course. Even though it's a still single frame, it really gives you the concept of the motion. Now, this was sent to me by email. Someone says, Story, you ought to see this one. Okay, I'll add it to the repertoire. So someone sent me this by email, and that one too. Someone sent me, a friend of mine sent me that one. So those are just spectacular things. And the launch plumes, these are plumes from Vandenberg out in California. The plumes are just painting the currents. So what you're looking at is air currents. That's why this is darn beautiful, because you're looking at air currents. We in space. Go chase down the Hubble. This fellow named Dr. Friedman, he got a silhouette of us. We're moving across the surface of the sun. So the sun, see, we're a silhouette, us, moving across the surface of the sun. You had to be in the right place at the right time. Us in the sunset. I chased down Hubble. I saw it 4,000 miles away. I saw it through the air. So I'm at about 200 miles, it's about 370 miles altitude, but when I first spotted it, I saw it right through the air of Mother Earth. I ran the rendezvous to go catch Hubble on a personal computer, and so you go into the shuttle data stream, you pull the data in, do the calculations. On the PC now, you do the calculations, and back into the system. That's you're able to upgrade shuttle. So here comes the shuttle. You notice the solar array is broken there? See, the solar array is broken. The solar rays were horrible. They did us endless trouble. The solar ray would go into the sunlight and expand as it warmed up and shake the telescope. They go on the night side and they cool off and contract and shake the telescope. We lost a half an hour of pointing of the telescope every rev around the Earth due to the fact the solar panels were shaking the telescope so bad it couldn't point. What's the problem with the solar panels? A solar panel, you hang it out in the sunlight and it converts solar energy into electricity. But they didn't test them in the sun. A solar panel is in the sun, and they didn't test it in sunlight. So that's how the problem is. You have to test things in the environment in which they have to work. So I'm going to put some new ones on. We've caught the telescope, get ready to go to work. So I get ready to go out the door. I got 13 major systems that are broke. I got the bad mirror. I got the embarrassment of 13 other systems shouldn't have failed. And, you know, all of this stuff's going on with the telescope. So I got to read this kind of stuff on Newsweek. And I am supposed to go do something about this. You think I feel any pressure going out the door? I do not. I'm happy with the plan. I'm a ballerina opening night to ballet. You know ballerina? I'm a ballerina. You know the dance? I'm a figure skater. That's what I'm going to do. I'm happy with the plan, Abram. I built a plan over all this time. Now I just got to execute that plan to perfection. To perfection, man. Figure skater? I'm going to be Dorothy. Oh, nice. That's it. You cannot focus on a Congress that says you'll fix that thing, no space station, because space station take 100 spacewalks. You got a plan and its execution to perfection. But what you take out the door is the inspiration from the people who are the best. It's like you Boy Scouts. You're after something. Your Boy Scouts are trying excellence. That's what you're after. Excellence and a challenge. You're completing a challenge. That's what you kids are after. But that's it. Space camp. It's the same thing. I teach a space camp 5 times a year. I go to space camp. It's kind of like a lab. I look at what works. Allison Parker, country kid from Alabama. She's my hero. She's what I take out the door. You get 700 kids that come to space camp and they come for one reason, to get the job done. They know they're going to get assigned a mission. They're going to get assigned a role. They're on some playing field. Here's the rules of the game, and I'm going to learn my job, and I'm going to get the job done. That is the spirit. That's the mission spirit of space camp. That's the mission spirit of Boy Scouts. That's what it's all about. It's getting that job done. So that's what we're about tonight. It's how you get the job done. That javelin, the job to get done, designs the heart and soul of that person right there. You see this? You take that picture with you. The gal came from Siberia with no hope of anything, nothing. And her dad and her had a dream. They're going to play tennis. And she won Wimbledon at 17. Okay, kids? That's the challenge before you. You have a dream, and you go do it, darn it. That's it. No hope. Siberia, and she won Wimbledon at 17. That's it, kids. That's what y'all do. And that's what we adults do. We reinvent ourselves. We come to some fork in the road, we reinvent ourselves. We take on something new. But that's it. That's it, folks. That's what you're after. Right there. A few years later, that is absolute perfection. You know what happened to that, sir. This is called form and its function. I didn't show you this one. I don't think I had this. It's form and its function. Form. It's perfect form. But you know what happened to the serve. The serve had to be absolutely perfect. You have content to offer the world. And you say, I'm going to be a sculptor. But you got to understand the form. You got to work the marble. And you say, I'm a poet. But you got to know poetics or it's not going to work. You know? Or you're going to compose music. Form and function. That's the most perfect serve you ever saw. And I used to go hug this horse. Claiborne's Farms, Paris, Kentucky. Show up at the barn and say, oh my goodness, he's here again. He wants to hug his horse. The horse got to know me. Secretary got to know me. But see, that's the inspiration. I hugged that horse, get the horse all over me. Before I even said, for you, sir, I go forward. But that's it. That's what you sign up for, everybody. You sign up for that. There's no reason to be any less. When you leave here, say, that's me, and that's what I'm going to do in life. We're not talking space flight or aviation. We're not talking horse racing. We're talking that is the level you achieve. That's it, folks. That's what you go for. Now, this is a dream I never got to do. It's a huge regret I have. It hurts. It hurts every darn day. It hurts every day. I wanted to do this, you know. I would have loved to. I'm a free-fall parachutist. I like the kind of stuff. I like aerodynamics. I love motion. I love to fly. Why wouldn't I like to do this? But I was in Norway last month. This guy's kind of rubbing it in. So I sat on the bench with him last month. I'm on the bench. You cannot believe what it's like to look down a ski jump like that. I just wanted to leap off and go down in my boots, you know, go flying down the hill. I didn't. I shot this at him. Just a point, I know, I would love to have done this. This is outrageous stuff. This is just gorgeous. So, you know, I didn't get to do it all. Now people say, Story, what are you waiting for? It's still there. Well, maybe it is. You know, am I copping out? Anyway, hey, that's it. This is just unbelievably good stuff. However, I did get to do this, so I'm 400 miles up in the air floating around, so I guess I shouldn't feel too bad. Arranging my tools for a day's work. That's Cape York Peninsula, Kangaroo Island, south of Australia. But here's the real team. Our mission control. I love and I adore them. I respect them. They're always teasing out the expertise. I want their help, and I want their help every second. It's not that, hey, stay out of my way. I'm doing the story Musgrave thing on. I'm doing their thing. I want their help, and I want them there with me. It's the same old story. I want them there with me. So I want them there looking after me. Playing with that big camera, 1,000-pound camera. You notice I'm not even hanging on. You notice the hand? You just touch. You take 1,000 pounds, you just touch it. Sometimes I just leave it. We're both, 20 times faster than a bullet. We're both 18,000 miles an hour down the road, but you just touch it, touch it. Well, that's what it's all about there. That's what I was able to fix for the wrong mirror in the telescope. I could not take the mirror out. It's part of the structure, it's an 84-inch mirror. There's an American engineer taking a shower in Munich, Germany. Yes, he's taking a shower. In the United States, the showers, you can change the stream or point. But in Europe, you can articulate the whole head. You change its position because I'm articulating arms. The American engineer is not looking. He doesn't understand that, and it catches the attention. He says, that's what I'm going to fix the Hubble telescope. What? With a shower? No. With little arms that what? They got quarter-sized mirrors. They're going to come out of that box, they're going to catch the light, correct it, reflect it to another mirror, which down to some other instrument. By putting in one box, I was able to correct for 5 other instruments. So that's creativity and how it happens. There's a solar panel that's broke, so it's fatigue. It's like a jam in your Coke can, broke off. I was supposed to roll it up like a blanket, bring it home, but I couldn't, it's broken. So I just dropped it, left it, bye-bye. We flew away, left it. And it came back home, but I put some new ones on. The new ones wouldn't come down, so I put a ratchet wrench, took care of that. Only 2 surprises on the whole mission, 2 surprises. So I closed these 10-foot doors, and they closed fine, except the left door is 4 inches higher than the right door. They're like this. So the latch don't match up. See? The latch didn't match up. That's strange, but down below, off the picture, I saw the scars on the doors. There were scars and scratches. That's strange too. I got back in the ground, and I says, what's with the doors, guys? They said, story. We couldn't close them on the ground either. I need to know about this. If I got to do it, you got to tell me about these things. So, but I had to come along. Back in the farm, to come along the big straps and the big handle. It's the way you tie things in back end trucks. I put 2 come-alongs and a shuttle to close the shuttle doors. I asked Flight Director, I get one of those to take care of it. Jeff up top, me in the bottom. I positioned the handle such that when I slid down like this to align the doors, it was there for 2 fingers to move the handle. I took care of that one. So, anyway, we got it all done. And that's my little head you see up at the top. We got the whole job done. Hubble was totally restored. We're deploying a sunset there. So this is 18 years ago. You know what she's done over the last 18 years. Talking to President Clinton, it's a moment of melancholy and sadness. I've lost my baby. I didn't come for the victory. I'm not after victories. I want to be on the playing field, being the best I can. I've done it for 77 years, and I just want to keep doing it. I'm not getting back to Hubble. And so it's a moment of sadness. Hubble disappears, that's it, it's over. It's over for me. And so that was really pretty much of a letdown. She's gone. Hubble's gone, I'm not going to get back. But the next 4 visits, what Hubble's done. It's totally restored and it's totally functional this week. The next 4 visits are equally as successful using my tools and my procedures. We got Hubble done. We'll get a quick celebration of 0G and of Mother Earth before we come home. So I was in the Coke and Pepsi wars. That's Coca-Cola and Pepsi. See, there's Coke and Coca-Cola. So Coke and Pepsi wars in space, and I was assigned to Coca-Cola. So I'm a Coke person up there in space. So you know what Coke's going to do in 0G? What do you think if you had a glass of Coke, you think the bubbles would go up? Do you? Why would the bubbles go anywhere? It's 0G. There's no density gradient, nothing's going to go anywhere. The bubble's going to stay in the hole. You're right. The whole thing going to get big. So, but I cannot extract the Coke through their valves. I want to show that I can do better than they can, controlling the fizz. I took a can opener and I took the whole top of the can off. So I have a can of Coke with no top. So it'll look stupid on educational video. I make it look really stupid. I gotta look stupid. It'll be funny, you know. I'm trying to pour the Coke out of the can. See? I'm trying to pour it and it won't come out. It's starting to bulge, but it won't come out. So I'm really looking dumb, but I thought it was funny, you know. So I had to use inertia. So I yanked the can off the Coke. I left the Coke there, and I dropped the can over there. So that is a can of Coke in space. So that's 12 ounces of Coke. Now, you know, I looked through the Coke and I looked at Mother Earth, and now I intuitively know why Earth is round, because it was liquid at one time. Every single thing out in space that was ever liquid, gas, a perfect sphere, like the sun, Mars, Venus, and the rest of them, because they're minimizing the surface area. They suck in, they minimize the surface tension. And so anything in space that was a gas or liquid at one time is a perfect sphere, like Earth, Mars, and the rest of them. But the Coke's getting big. The Coke getting too big because the bubbles don't go up. There is no up. So the bubbles don't know which way to go. So the whole thing getting big. My buddies are looking at this mess and they say, Story, you got to get after that. And bad things are going to happen. It's going to, you know, take over the whole world. And so I got my straw and I go after it, but it's not going good. That's Flacco. That's bubbles up your nose. So it's not going good. And then my buddies look at me and say, Story, you're always trying to improve upon the system. You're going to lose this one. We're going to watch you lose. For the first 1 year, you're going to lose one. I haven't given up yet. I touched the edge of this Coke, see, and I spun it up like this. So now in front of my face, Coke spinning. That's Coke that's spinning. You can see right there. So that's flat Coke on there, that's bubbles up your nose. The best Coke in the entire universe, you put your straw in right down the line between the bubbles and the fizz right there. So that's Coke in space. Quick celebration of Mother Earth. So the wonderful Florida up here and Cuba down here, we got to get along, folks. We sweet people, Cubans are sweet people, we got to get along. There's no reason not to. They're wonderful neighbors out there. The incredible blue Bahamas, the richest blues on Earth. Yeah, that's 8,000 feet deep. The turquoise is very shallow water. If you've been to Nassau, there, and New Providence Island. But those are the richest accrual of blues on Earth. These are the Grand Pyramids. So this is Cairo, and there's Cheops and Cheops and the Sardius there. You can't see the pyramids with the naked eye, but you can see the shadow. If I have a low sun angle, the shadows go out for a mile. And that's great contrast to see. There's Mount Everest, you see, tallest mountain on Earth. This is Mount Etna on Sicily, Rabaul. The entire island of Rabaul is destroyed, volcanic activity. And the Galapagos, just like Earth, sterile molten ash, nothing there, by seed life comes, and it does what it does. And that hurricane's in the southern hemisphere, that's why it's going clockwise in that direction there. Typhoon near is 205 miles an hour. That, as you recognize, solar eclipse. So a moon is lying over the sun and blocking out the sun. I take that picture of the eclipse, but I turn toward Mother Earth, and that's the shadow of the eclipse now on Earth. So it's a totally different perspective. We'll take a sunset here and come home. Incredibly fast and sharp and just absolutely gorgeous. That is a space sunset that you're looking at there. Oh, dear me. That's what it looks like out the window. And not to lose some clouds. There are clouds that got water in them, but they're up there 40, 50 miles, and then the aurora comes. If you take the time to darken that, turn all the computer lids down, and enjoy a night pass over there. This is what you see. This is what you see out the window. Gee, shooting up and down over 1,000 miles. It moves. It's like a silken scarf over there. This is, you're flying through aurora. So, with that gorgeous scene, we gotta come home. There's a tail of the shuttle, we come home. Incredible flying machine when it's taken care of. I'm gonna go into Florida in this case here. Home sweet home, when you think about the people that did it right. The people like yourselves, the best of business, the people who cared, took you on a journey, and took you home safe. And they're going to turn that thing around and go again. And so, how's Hubble doing? How is Hubble doing? That is before I fixed it, and that's after I fixed it. So that's Galaxy M100 that you're looking at. It worked. I'll take you on a 1-minute journey now out into the universe. And Marianne, you can play the music from Cosmos, please, now. And it's on track 1 of the CD that you got. Thank you. This is the theme from Cosmos, from Carl Sagan. Mother Earth, this incredible jewel floating in an ocean of space. The only home, the only place we're ever going to have. An incredible beauty. Our home, our life home. That's a single photograph. The single photograph, a Voyager, took the picture of the two sisters, Earth and Moon. And that's Venus, a silhouette of Venus moving across the surface of the sun. These are Hubble pictures of the planets. That's a spectrograph where the energy is split into different colors. The junction of art and science. The Cassini, a satellite. It's a very strange geometry because the sun is behind Saturn. You can barely pick out that little dot. You see the little dot? That's Mother Earth that you're looking at. That is us on a cosmic journey. Yes, your sun. The cosmos is an unbelievably beautiful place. And into the land of star birth and Orion. Billions and billions of stars and star death. These supernova events, these cataclysmic deaths of stars, they are the artists. They're the art form of the universe. It's unbelievable. Their art forms in the Veil Nebula, 2 trillion miles of silken stars, and into the land of galaxies. Andromeda, you know, the sombrero. We took the Hubble and we aimed it where there was nothing. No ground-based telescope could see anything but empty, dark sky. We took a long exposure. We found another 2,000 galaxies. It's estimated there are 300 trillion stars in a single photograph. That is our universe, that is our cosmos, and that is you and I. That's our Milky Way galaxy. That's what she looks like from outer space. We're on a spiral arm looking inbound toward the center. The Voyager satellites have been out there for 35 years. They have left our solar system. The first satellites to ever depart. We turned one around to look over its shoulder at Mother Earth. That is Earth from 5 billion miles. We are on the cosmic journey and we go together. Story, Walter Cronkite, what do you say? Story, what do you say about the journey? 3 things. I am privileged to have gone. An incredible opportunity and a challenge. I am privileged that I got to go. Secondly, I was allowed to finish the job. I could have been stopped. I could have run into unsurmountable surprises. And thirdly, and most important, it is not over. Spaceflight is the quest for the universe, was the meaning of the hope of the life that we got here. For you and for kids that follow me into space, achieve excellence. I wish you well on the journey. Calm seas, favorable winds. Your feet on Mother Earth, your head and your soul in the heavens. And remember, you take that journey and you take that quest to be the best that you can simply because it is there for you. Thank you so much for being a fantastic audience. And Greg, thank you so much for getting me here. Ava, the PTA, thank you so much. Without you, I would not be here. You guys got a great school district. So